All right, welcome to 2-3 quick graphs of linear equations. Make sure you title your note page with the 2-3 heading, and this is actually just day 1. All right, so our goals today are going to be to use slope-intercept form of a linear equation to graph linear equations. And then day 2 will be the second goal. All right, so let's look at y-intercept. The y-intercept is the graph of an equation that intersects the y-axis at point 0b, then the number b is the y-intercept of the point. So if I were to draw a little picture of what this is the y-axis, and the y-intercept is a point that lies on this line. So if this were b, which is the symbol for y-intercept, then this would be point 0b. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So if you wanted to find the y-intercept of a line, you would set x equals to 0. So if I had the equation y equals mx plus b, then, and I wanted to solve for the y-intercept, I would set x equal to 0. M times 0 is 0, and I would get y equals b, which is why the number b is the point y-intercept. All right, so let's look at slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is a formula that you've seen before in algebra. Make sure that you know what this is. So if not, you need to make sure this is memorized. So write this down. Again, this is slope-intercept form. I know it's written right above, but I want you to make sure that you have it in your notes as slope-intercept form. All right, so the m is equal to slope. So if you look at this m, it's equal to the slope of the line. It's also sometimes called the coefficient of x when the equation is solved for y. Right? The b is the y-intercept. So b is where the y-intercept lives. It's, as long as the equation is solved for y, it is the constant in the equation. All right, so graphing equations in slope-intercept form. This is, again, a review, so hopefully you're remembering some of this. So we're going to solve an equation for y, or we're going to make sure that it's solved for y. Please write these steps down. Once you solve the equation for y, you're going to graph by beginning with the y-intercept, which is kind of nice because if you remember what slope-intercept form is, you're going to begin with b. And then step 3 is you're going to move with the slope. So again, if we look at what y equals mx plus b, right, the slope-intercept form looks like, there's m. You're going to move with the slope, that rise over run. And then finally, you're going to draw the line. And make sure that the line has arrows on both ends to represent that it goes on forever and ever from those points. So make sure that you have these steps written down, please, even if you already know it. All right, so now let's draw the line with the given slope and y-intercept. So this time they've broken down the equation for us. So they've done some of the work for us, and all we have to do is graph it. So go ahead and make a slope or a coordinate plane on your graph. I already have one here, so I'm not going to draw one, but I really would like you to draw one in your notes. So what you're going to do is you always begin with b. b lives on the y-axis. So put a point at -3 on the y-axis. You begin with b, and then you move with slope, and slope is always a fraction. So it's rise over run. So this means I'm going to go from this point, so put your pencil on the point at -3 and go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1, and you should have a point at about 1, 1. And then from that point at 1, 1, go up 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and over 1. So you can see that the stair is a pretty steep stair. You're going to have to lift your leg 4 units, and then you just have enough room. So picture yourself stepping up, and then just a little tiny thin step, right? And this is a very steep step because the line is considerably bigger than 1. So go ahead and draw a straight line, sorry about that, and put arrows on both ends. And now you have drawn the line with the given slope and y-intercept. Now this time they've given it to us a little different. The equation is already solved for y. Yay. Now we find b. Begin with b. So as long as the equation is solved for y, the constant is always b, right? The slope is, as long as the equation solved for y, the slope is the coefficient of x, which is 3/4 x. Just be a solid line there, okay? So I'm going to start at -2 on the y-axis. Then I'm going to move up 3, right 4 from the point -2 on the y-axis. So put your pencil on the -2 on the y-axis, go up 3, 1, 2, 3, go right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should be at the point 4, 1. And then from that point, you're going to go up 3 more, 1, 2, 3, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this step is not quite as steep as the other ones because 3/4 is somewhere between 0 and 1, right? And you can see that you just have to lift your leg 3 and then you have a much longer step. So go ahead and draw your line. Notice that it's positive, it's slanting up from left to right, which is what it's supposed to be because our slope is positive. So let's look at another one. This is your turn. So graph the line, so draw a coordinate plane, graph this line, stop the video so that you can check your answer. So ready, stop the video, go. All right, so hopefully you listened and now you're ready to check your equation. So I'm going to start at b equals 1. M equals, and this might have been a little tricky because there's an implied 1 in front of the x, so 1/1. So I'm going to put my pencil at 1 on the y-intercept, draw a point, and then from that point I'm going to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. And I have an equation, y equals 1. So hopefully you are a winner. All right, let's recall how to solve for y. So write the equation down, 3x plus 4y equals 16. This is called standard form. Standard form is when x and y are on the same side and their coefficients are integers, and then the constant is also an integer. All right, so in standard form, your job is going to be to get y by itself. In order to get y by itself, you're always going to add or subtract x away. So I'm going to minus 3x from both sides. I'm going to minus 3x because positive 3x and negative 3x make 0x, which is 0. So I'm going to bring down the 4y equals negative 3x goes first, always put the variable first, and then plus 16 goes second. Never combine the x and the constant because they're not like terms. So once you move x, then you always divide by the coefficient of y. So division is equal opportunity, so everybody gets divided. So divide by coefficient, right? Coefficient means number in front of, coefficient of y, right? The number in front of y. So we have y equals negative 3/4 x plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we solve for y. Right? Make sure you have all these steps written down. Stop the video if you need more time. All right, number 2. So let's try this one. So let's kind of anticipate the steps as we go along. Step 1 is to move x. So you're always going to add or subtract x away from y. Right? So they're going to cancel out. Make sure they have opposite signs. Some of you guys were making the mistake of keeping the signs the same. So negative 7y equals, always put the x first, and 28 is positive, so we put a plus 28. Once you move x over, divide by the coefficient of y. Right, so we have y equals, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so this would be positive 5/7 x, positive 28 divided by negative 7 is negative, and 7 goes into 28 4 times. So we make sure we reduce our fractions. All right, again, pause the video if you need more time. All right, and the last one. So this time, let's make sure that we solve for y. I know that some of you already know how to do this, but we're writing it down anyway so that we can get points. So step 1 is to add or subtract x away from y. So I'm going to add 3x because the original 3 in the problem is negative. So negative 3 and positive 3 make 0. And now I have negative 8y equals, always put the x part first, plus 12 off behind. Notice that they're not like terms because one has an x and one is a constant. Divide everybody by negative 8. So I have y equals a positive 3 and a negative 8 make negative 3/8x. 3/8 doesn't reduce, so I just leave it like this. A positive 12 and a negative 8 makes a minus. 12 and 8 both have a 4 in common, so this would be 3/2. And we're done. All right, so find the slope and the y-intercept of the line. Your turn. So make sure that you write down what m equals and what b equals. All right, stop the video, make sure you can do it, and then restart to check the video. So go ahead and stop it. All right, welcome back. So m is equal to 7, right? M is equal to, as long as the equation's solved for y, the number in front of x. And b is equal to 12, as long as the equation is solved for y, b is the constant. All right, so now try this one. Step 1 is to solve the equation for y. So your first step is going to be to solve the equation for y, just like we did in the last 3 examples. And then you're going to do just like you did in number 1. So stop the video, see if you can do it, and then restart the video when you're done. So go ahead and stop it. All right, let's go ahead and check your answer. So step 1 was to minus 6x from both sides to get y by itself. So bring the negative 4y down. So check your signs. Sometimes people forget to bring the negative down. Make sure you did not combine like terms. Make sure you have the x and then the 8, right? Negative 6x plus 8. Divide everybody by the negative 4. So we have positive y equals positive 3/2 x, right? Because you divide both of these by 2. And then negative 4 goes into 8 twice. The slope is 3/2. The y-intercept is negative 2. All right, so once again, let's see if you can do it. So go ahead and work this out. Stop the video and then check your answers at the end. So go ahead and stop the video. All right, let's check and see if we did it right. So did you first minus 3x to both sides? So you have negative 7y equals negative 3x plus 14. Divide everybody by negative 7. And so we have y equals positive 3/7 x minus 2. The slope equals 3/7. The y-intercept equals negative 2. All right, so hopefully you're a winner. If not, then just come in and get some help and you will be a winner. All right, so look at this crazy one. So sometimes you have problems like this. It's kind of like a function problem. Your monthly car payment on a new car are made according to the equation P equals 15,000 minus 250T, where P is the amount you owe. So basically you just bought a $15,000 car, hopefully including taxes and everything. And T is the number of months that you have a loan for. So what is the original amount you owe? So your original amount that you owe is 15,000. What is your monthly payment? So for every single month, you're going to pay $250. All right, now when we graph the model in these, look what I did with this graph. See how I started at 400 and then went to 800, 1200, 1600. Try to make sure that it starts at 0 and then have equal increments as you go. Try not to do the little break in the graph. On these, it's always better to have an equal separation on the y-axis, equal interval. That's the word I was looking for. And then look on the bottom. Have an equal interval. I started with 10 and then went to 20. So I'm not sure why the book started with 10 here, but we'll go with it. Probably since the interval's not the same, they probably should have started with 20, 40, 60, 80. So anyways, let's graph the model. So the slope, this one might be a little bit tricky because it's not exactly in the right form. So the slope is the coefficient of t. So the slope is equal to 25. The y-intercept is equal to 15,000. All right, and then what they did here is these should be thousands, right? They did in hundreds instead of in thousands, so we'll change that for them. So you'll make a graph and go from 4,000 to 8,000 to 12,000 to 16,000. You'll start with the amount that you owe. So in between would be 1,400, so 1,500 would be right about here. That's our initial money that we owe. And then we're going to go down $250 each time. And then over one for 1 month. So this is actually 10 months, right? So not just 1 month, this is 10 months. So if we have negative 25, 250 times 10, how much money is that? So that would be 2,500 for every 10 months. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go down 2,500. So that this is 15,000. This would be 14,000. This would be 13,000. So I'm going to go down 2,050 more in 10 months time. Okay. And then we're going to go down. So if we talk about, oh, I see now, this is 20 months. They really did go by 10. So I just didn't pay attention to the label. So now in 10 more months, it's going to go down another $2,500. So we go down 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, so 2,500, which would be right about here, right? And we graph our line. This time it's going to go all the way to 0. Oh, sorry, pretend like that's straight. It's going to go all the way to 0 because that's when we're going to own our car, right? When we don't owe any more money. Hopefully you understand what we did there. And if not, just come in, we'll ask questions or start the class tomorrow with a question on this problem, and I'll go over it again. So check and see if you can do this one. Again, use the graph. Make sure that you start at 0, but you don't go like 5, 10, 15, 20. You know, you want to make sure that you're going to at least 500 on the y-axis and maybe go by hundreds, maybe go by 50s, something like that. Okay? And then we'll check your answer tomorrow in class. And you're done for the day. Yay! All right, nice job. Way to be a winner.